Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to be doing a little bit different of a video. This is going to be a analyzing my eyeshadow collection tag. I'm not sure if that's quite the right title. I'll figure it out. I got this video idea from another YouTuber. I have the questions over here on my computer. There's 8 in total, and it just, analyzes, breaks down your eyeshadow collection a little bit and kind of pinpoints favorites and not favorites. And so, yeah, I just thought it would be fun. Eyeshadow is one of my favorite things. So, yeah, let's just get into it. The first question is, and again, my computer's over here, so I'm going to read them. What was your first eyeshadow palette? I had to completely rebuild my makeup collection about 3.5 years ago. Completely started over. I know I had a couple of Clinique palettes that my mom gave me, but the first palette that I remember buying was the Mini Masquerade palette by Juvia's Place. And the mini palette had just come out. Sorry, I have a candle that's burning and it's like crackling, but everybody's seen it by now. I love this palette. I had seen Kathleen Lights use it. She did like a look with these warm tones, and then she did a colorful look, and I loved that it had both, and I had heard such good things about it, and just I really liked the looks that she did with it. And this is probably still one of my favorite palettes, and I believe when I did the video, like if I completely lost my makeup collection and had to start over, this was the palette that I would purchase. And this was the first palette that I bought, and cherish it so much. I stopped using it because I started to get some real like divots in some of the, I don't know if you can see in some of these shades. So I was like afraid to hit pan, but if I ever hit pan on any of these, I'll probably just end up repurchasing the whole palette because I love it so much. The next question is, which palette do you use the most? I have two. It would probably be the Natural Eyes by Too Faced. They're both Too Faced palettes, which is interesting. This is just, again, it's a neutral palette, but when I just need a really easy, simple look, this is the palette that I grab because it's really easy to make just, everyday wearable, pretty look. Throw a color in the crease, darken up the outer corner, shimmer on the lid. It's just gorgeous. So I use this one, and then my other one that I fell in love with this past winter was the Pumpkin Spice palette. Looks like this. I love this palette so much. It's just beautiful. I love all the colors in here. I've used almost all the colors in here. It has kind of a vanilla-y smell. I wish it smelled like pumpkin spice. It was supposed to. It doesn't, but I still love the quality and the colors. The third question, if you had to get rid of one palette right now, which palette would you choose and why? And this palette was one that I had pulled out in my declutter video that was going to be on the chopping block. This is the My Little Pony palette from ColourPop. This is a very problematic palette. Like, these darker shades don't perform well. I don't know. I just feel like this isn't as pigmented as I was hoping it would be. It's pretty to look at, but it just does not perform well on the eyes. At least for me, it doesn't. So I think out of all of my ColourPop ones, this is probably the one, like, if I had to let it go. I'm holding on to it because I want to do a couple of ColourPop videos because there's a couple of them that are problematic for me. And I feel like I'm the only one in the whole universe that has issues with ColourPop shadows. But yeah, this is probably the one, if I had to get rid of one right now, would probably be this one. Question 4, do you have a deep emotional connection with any of your palettes? Which one and why? I do. The Masquerade one, like I said, was one of the first ones I purchased. The second one would probably be the Sweet Peach because I purchased that right after. So those are the only two big palettes that I had for a long time. The ones that I pulled out for that question specifically would be the white mini chocolate chip palette from Too Faced. This is what it looks like. It's pretty. I mean, don't go in with a wet brush on the Too Faced shadows. They don't like it, but you can see, but they still work. My husband, for our very first Valentine's Day, bought me this. So I will keep it forever and always. And so when the large one came out, I had to have it because I have such an emotional connection with the mini. I'm like, I have to have the full size, and it has all of the shades that are in the mini are in the full size, so I don't feel as bad that I messed up 2 of the shadows, but like I said, they still work. But I have this one now, so I don't use the mini anymore, but I love this one. I'm one of the few people on the planet that likes this palette, but it's because I love, I have it was the first thing he ever bought me. And then the other one, the third one, is another palette in here. Would be the original chocolate bar palette. That was one that he remembered that I had been wanting. He bought it for me for Christmas. And then this was one that when this came out, I really, really wanted it. My husband bought it, went out of his way to order it, just like he did with the mini white chip and the regular chocolate bar. He went out of his way and bought them for me. So I don't use this palette very much because the pan sizes are so small and I don't want to use it up. But I will never get rid of this because he bought them for me. And like I said, he took the time to go online, like the chocolate bar palette. He went to Sephora and bought it. And yeah, so those mean a lot to me. So those are ones that I definitely have an attachment to. Question 5, which palette was your biggest waste of money? And I will say, I don't dislike this palette, but I think I've only used it twice. This is the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette, and I have the issue that I think a lot of people had. The colors are kind of all over the place, and I open it up and I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. I learned the other day, and I probably should have watched more videos, these 3 are supposed to be a look. They have them grouped by and I never noticed that before. So these ones here that are in 3s can be used together and then to create a look, and then you have these, and then these are toppers. And it makes more sense to me now that I learned that. I don't know why I never figured that out. And you can mix and match, but it's one of those, I think because the colors again are all over the place, I open it up and I'm like, I don't know what to do with you. And this is the only Kat Von D. Well, that's not true. I have one of their mini ones now, but a friend of mine gave me that and I haven't tried that either. Her formula, is unique to her and it's different, and I haven't gotten past the learning curve with it because I've only used it twice. So I need to play around with it more, but this was a $65 palette. I did get it on one of the VIB sales, so I got 15% off. So I saved a little bit, but it's expensive, and that's a lot of money to spend on a palette that I've only used twice. But I won't get rid of it because it's really the only, Kat Von D palette that I own. And the colors are pretty. I want to make it work. I just, it's overwhelming when I open it, so it just sits in my drawer, but it's pretty. But yeah, that's probably the biggest disappointment, just because there was so much hype around it, and then I finally got it and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with you now. So let's see, question 6, which palette was the biggest surprise to you that you ended up loving more than you thought, or not liking as much as you expected? Mine is one that I liked, and I have talked about this before, so this may not be a surprise for people. The Jeffree Star Alien palette. This is one, and I've talked about this before. When I looked at this online, I was like, oh, that is the most boring palette that I've ever seen in my life. And even on the screen, I don't think it does it justice. And then when I got it in person, I was like, this photographs horribly. It looks so much better in person than the pictures did it justice. And I remember when I saw it online and was like, ugh. And then I kept seeing pictures on Instagram and people were turning out some really gorgeous looks. And I remember being really confused, like, how are you getting that from this palette? Because it looked like it was all like these neutral shades. There we go. Like these colors online all looked like washed out and blah and the same. And I don't know, I love this palette so, so much. There's a girl on YouTube, Make Me Up Missa is the name of her channel. She ended up decluttering this, I think, and I was so sad that she didn't really like it, because yeah, I love this palette so much. This is one of my favorite palettes. This is my favorite of all of the palettes of his that I own, and I was so surprised because, like I said, I looked at it online and I don't know why I even bought it. I got it on a whim. I bought it off of Poshmark. There was a lady, I think, that got it as a gift and didn't want it. I paid a little bit more than I would have had I gotten it through the website, but you know, everybody was sold out, and I decided to take a chance because I wanted to try it, and just, yeah, I'm still surprised that I love this palette. I've even gotten past the packaging that's kind of bulky and weird, but yeah, I love this one so, so much. It's one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. Let's see, 7. We're almost done. Do you have a palette you never reach for? And this is one that I like. This, and I mentioned it earlier, this is the original chocolate bar. I had the Bonbon palette, the white chocolate bar palette, I think I got this after the white chocolate bar palette. I know I had the Bonbon and the peach. And this is one, like Kathleen Lights again, raved about this palette for years. This is the original. This was, you know, an OG on YouTube. Everybody raved about the chocolate bar palette, and I didn't have it. So my husband bought it for me for Christmas. I've only used it a handful of times. It's one of those, I am so glad that I have it. It's not that old, so mine's still good. It's a good palette. I don't know why I don't reach. I think I forget about it. And this one sits on top in my drawer, so I think that's why I tend to reach for this one, because this is a neutral palette too. This one's in the back and this one sits in front of that drawer, and so I think that's why this one gets pulled out more. So if I put these, I need to rearrange the drawer and put these chocolate bar ones in the front, and then maybe I'll use them more. So I'm gonna try and remember to do that, because I do like it. I just forget about it and it just sits in my drawer. And the very last question, we're almost done. Do you have any palettes where you love all of the shades? And I have 2. I mean, I guess I could mention like the first ones that I talked about. Like the Masquerade one would be an honorable mention, because there's no shades in here that I don't like, and I don't think there's any in here that I haven't used. So this would be an honorable mention for sure. But the 2 that I was going to mention are Pumpkin Spice. Again, this is a neutral palette, but this sits in the back of the drawer. I love every single color in here. I love that there's little like quads. So like this is a color. This is, like I said, I don't know why I didn't realize that with the Kat Von D palette. This is, you know, and then you can mix and match. But it's just so good, and the shimmers in here are so pretty. Like this gold is so foiled and cool, and it just looks wet. I don't know why more people, I'm still like, people didn't get this in PR, and I don't think a lot of people went out and bought it, but it's so good. And then the other one that I absolutely love, I got it in a Boxy Luxe box. This is the Violet Voss Pro. I love the formula. This is the only Violet Voss palette I own, but I like, and it looks very like these look the same on camera, but this one on your eye actually does deepen up the crease more, at least for me. But I've used, I don't think I've used that shade, but there's no colors in here. There's a couple like this one and that one that I haven't put on my eye, but I think every other shade in here I've used. I like all of these colors. The formula in here is really good, so there's not a shade in here that I don't like. So those are probably the 3 that come to mind, because yeah, I don't think there's any in here that I don't like, and the same thing with the Masquerade palette. There's no shadows in here that I don't like. So yeah, that is a breakdown of my collection. I had thought about doing, there's another lady, I think it's Bean Beauty or something like that. I'll leave her channel down below. She did one where she ranked her whole eyeshadow collection, and she has 60 palettes, so she ranked them from her least favorite to her favorite. I thought about doing that, but I have 90 eyeshadow palettes, like big and small. Now I could cut that number down if I got rid of like my 4 little, like my little ones. You know, like this one would probably be included, but I mean, if I did full-size palettes and didn't include ones this size, I could probably get that number down to about 80, but that's still a lot, and that would be a really long video. I don't know if anybody would be interested in seeing that, so leave me a comment down below if that's something that you would be interested in seeing, because I can definitely do that. I can pull them all out and rank them and talk about them, but it's probably going to be like a 40-minute video. But yeah, this was fun. It was fun to sit and kind of think about each question and what I was going to pull out for each. So I enjoyed that. Hopefully this was fun and not like too boring. Please take a moment and hit that subscribe button if you have not already. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see everybody in my next video. Bye guys.